Suppose after living a full life of tragedy, pain, and suffering, you finally receive an awful death. But rather than dying, you go back in time. What would you do? What would you create? Would you create a future where you are finally happy? Or would you dig your cave of suffering even deeper than before? Now that sounds fun. Well, that's the basic plot of the manhwa we are going to be discussing today. It is called Moon Shadow Sword Emperor. For those who are excited, let's waste no more time and jump straight into the video. The story starts in the middle of a deadly battle. The main character is terribly wounded and is standing in the middle of a bunch of dead bodies. It was all the people he killed. Even though he was severely poisoned, he had already taken down 3 Blood Heaven squads, 4 elders of the Demon Palace, and the Demon Sovereign himself. But apart from the main character, another person was left. It was his disciple brother from the Demonic Sect. Both of them were sent to claim the treasure stolen by a thief who was never found. But the disciple had other plans. He betrayed the main character with his forces, but the main character killed all of them and was now standing before his brother. The main character starts to taunt his disciple brother, but the disciple brother notices that the main character has almost used all his strength and was very weak. So he immediately starts attacking. Nut, the main character, uses one of the forbidden arts, a technique so powerful that once used, the user's destiny was nothing but death. But the main character refused to die alone. He kills his disciple with the forbidden arts. Just after that, he starts to suffer the consequences, and in his last moments, he remembers his whole life. He regrets the fact that he had to live his whole life with no freedom and full of suffering. He decides that he would live his life in his own way, if he had the chance. But sadly, that was his last thought. But rather than going to the afterlife, he wakes up in an unknown place and sees the man who bought him from his parents and shoved his butt in the demon cave 20 years ago. But it was not possible because the main character had already killed him years ago. In the moment of utter confusion, the main character finally sees his body, and then he finally realizes he had somehow traveled back in time. It was the time when the guy and his followers were going to put him back into the hellish cave. Just like last time, the disciples of the 10,000 Mile arrive at that place and try to take down the followers of the Demonic Sect. But the clan's disciples weren't even nearly strong enough to kill the followers of the Demonic Sect. But this time, the main character uses the chaos of the fight to run away. While running away, he takes the wine pot of the followers of the Demonic Sect. But he starts running. He was just a kid though, so the followers capture him in a short period, and after that, the followers take a sip of the wine and decide to kill the main character. But before they could, all of them start coughing up blood. It was because of that wine. The main character mixed poisonous herbs in it while running. This kills all of the followers of the Demonic Sect, and after that was settled, the main character starts to think about what he wanted to do next in his new life. He wanted to live a comfortable life while he was also being a respected warrior. As per his memory, there was only one thing he could do to fulfill his wish: to become an elder of the Murim Union. And for that, he had to join a normal clan. So with that, he frees the 2 captive female warriors of the 10,000 Mile clan. As a result, they take him to their clan chief. The clan chief becomes impressed with his manners and intellect and immediately takes him under his clan. He orders his general to take care of him, and the general takes him under his wing and gives him basic necessities. So the main character immediately tries to start his martial arts training, but he soon realizes he can only manifest demon ki. He had to learn the ki of the Order faction to become an elder. He decided to become the disciple of the King of Fist, the person who was able to take down masters of the Demonic Sect with his bare hands. But the problem was, he did not expose himself until 5 years from now. So until then, he decides to remain in the 10,000 Mile clan. He works as the general's assistant and lives a comfortable life in comparison to the other servants of the demonic clan. 2 years later, he had mastered his physical strength and learned some basic martial arts. One day, the head servant tries to bully him, but the main character in response literally beats the crap out of him. That is something he definitely deserved. But after the fight, he notices the tattoo on the ankle of the head servant. It was the symbol of the Hao Society, an intelligence group that can father almost every piece of information in the world of Murim. But main character doesn't say anything or do anything. After that, 3 years passed. It was finally time for him to leave the clan. He tells the general that he wants to become a martial artist, but the general says that he wants the main character his disciple. So he refuses to let him go. So the main character puts on a bet. If he could defeat the warrior of the general who chooses from his side, he will leave the clan and receive 1 year's worth of the general's salary. But if he loses, he will do as the general wants. The general agrees and brings the second most powerful martial artist of the clan. Damn you, you trickster. The main character and the warrior start the fight, but after the sparring for some time, the main character defeats the warrior with just little effort. Well, I guess the general should have picked someone else. The main character then receives the money and gets ready to leave the clan. But before that, he meets the head servant. He finally tells him that he had seen the mark on his ankle and knows what it means. But he tells that he would keep it a secret, but for that, there is something that he wanted. He asks the head servant to become a client of the Hao Society. The head servant then agrees and prepares a meeting for him with one of the branch managers of the Hao Society. Though he was having a meeting with the branch manager, an assassin of the higher-ups was watching them. The main character immediately notices, bro even has the spidey senses, and the assassin comes down from the ceiling and starts to attack the main character. But the main character is too strong. He overpowers the assassin but doesn't kill him. He tells the assassin that he wasn't there to fight but to make a deal. He asks for the information about the King of Fists, and in exchange, he offers to heal the youngest disciple of the Hao Society, who was suffering from soul possession. The assassin agrees and makes the main character a client of the Hao Society, and he provides information about the King of Fists in just a couple of days. So the main character wastes no time and leaves for the martial hall in which the King of Fists works as an instructor. During his journey, he hears rumors about a madman wandering in the wild, but he ignores them and continues his journey. He enters the martial hall to become a martial arts disciple. There, as soon as he enters, he encounters the King of Fists, who was there to take his test in place of the headmaster who was sick. The main character wastes no time and tells King of Fists that he wishes to learn the martial arts of Heavenly Lightning School. But the King of Fists immediately rejects him and orders him to leave immediately if he wanted to live. And damn, this dude is scary. But the main character was stubborn. He enters the martial hall with the help of the actual headmaster. After that, the King of Fists tries to make the main character quit through hardcore training, but the main character being the main character, of course, he's stubborn. During the training, he gets closer to the King of Fists' family. Some days later, the son of the King of Fists was kidnapped, and the main character immediately knew who the kidnapper was. It was the Yin murderous ghost demon, and the wandering madman was part of his squad. He was planning to hand over the heavenly yin body of King of Fists' son to the heavenly evil king, the leader of a whole sect, and get his place back in the sect. The main character immediately goes after them, and after following them for some time, he tracks them down. He starts fighting the whole squad, but the yin murderous ghost demon was way too powerful. The main character was about to be killed, but the King of Fists arrives at the scene. Oh, you're screwed now, bud. He kills literally all of the Demonic Sect members, including the yin murderous ghost demon, in just mere moments. He then takes the wounded main character to the infirmary of the Tang clan. There, after sleeping for 10 whole days, the main character finally wakes up. And after waking up, the main character realizes that he had changed the timeline. Because in the original timeline, the King of Fists would only expose himself after his son was killed by the heavenly evil king. While he was thinking about it, the King of Fists entered the chamber. He thanks the main character for saving his son and wishes to grant any wishes his disciple had. But the main character being himself asks to learn the martial arts of the Heavenly Lightning School. But King of Fists again declines the request. When the main character asks for the reason, he finally says the truth. The heavenly white lightning can only be learned by those who have severed veins. It is not that those without severed veins cannot learn the technique. It can be learned through a special process, and the process in which the master had to flow his ki through the veins of his disciple. But the problem is that even using the process, it was an extremely rare possibility, and a failure would mean nothing but death. the main character refuses to give up and somehow convinces King of Fists to start the process. This guy is the most stubborn and arrogant main character I have ever seen. So after the main character was fully healed, they start the process. King of Fists starts to flow his ki through the main character's body, and due to the density of the ki, the main character starts to struggle. He was on the brink of death, but somehow, he survives the process. It was probably due to his experience of using the forbidden arts in his previous life, but now the main character had acquired the Heavenly Lightning School. And after that, King of Fists starts to train the main character to learn different martial arts like Thunder Fist and Ghost Step by using the ki of the Heavenly Lightning School. After training like this for a couple of months, the main character suddenly gets a letter from the House Society. It was finally time for him to heal the youngest disciple. Oh, I almost forgot about that deal. He reaches the given destination and sees the youngest disciple and her bodyguards, but all of them were wounded. They were ambushed by the Demonic Sect. As a result, they suspect the main character to be a part of the Demonic Sect and try to attack him. But King of Fists enters the room, and the main character brought him for his protection. He knocks down all of the bodyguards in a couple of seconds. Not surprised, really. Then, the main character treats the youngest disciple without any hindrance. After that, the main character and King of Fists return to the martial hall. He trains the main character for 2 whole years and completely builds the ki foundation. Then the main character takes an elixir pill given to him by the King of Fists. By eating this, he completed half of the ki accumulation he had to do. So he was already halfway done with his mission. That same day, he goes to the Tang clan, where he meets the youngest disciple of the House Society, who was completely healed. She apologizes for the behavior of the guards, and as compensation, he offers to become his personal manager. The main character agrees to the deal as it will be much easier for him to acquire information. Also, who wouldn't love to have such a beautiful manager? To always remain close to the main character, she even gets admitted to the same martial hall and also becomes the disciple of King of Fists. Speaking of King of Fists, he had moved to a secluded location in the mountains along with his family. It was to protect his son from the Demonic Sect, but he also felt sorry for his wife. Seeing his situation, the main character decides to help him. He plans to heal the heavenly yin body of the King of Fists' son by using the arts of the Demonic Sect. This is the story of the initial chapters of the Manhwa series Moon Shadow Sword Emperor, and I enjoyed the show a lot, especially its characters. There were some action scenes that I really enjoyed, and it was a great reading experience, and I highly recommend the series for you guys to read. And I also hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to comment down below what your favorite character and whether or not you want a part 2 of the series. I would love to make a second part of the series, but only if you guys want it. Also, don't forget to press the bell icon and set us all to be notified about all our latest new videos, and definitely don't forget to subscribe. And as for now, I'll catch you later. See you in the next one.